Okay, good morning. Welcome to Saturday Morning Wake and Bake. My name's Chuck McGuire, and this is my show. It's not fancy. It may not even be interesting to anyone. Uh, but I do the show, and I talk about stuff I want to talk about. Today, my last few have been kind of dark topics. This one's kind of dark, but it's got the story I'm going to tell has got not so dark tone to it, a little bit more upbeat tone to this. So we're going to talk about poverty. It's another ugly topic. Forgot this. Let's do this. Morning. I want to give shout outs to a couple of people. I'm going to give a shout out to my sister. She's always interested in at least seeing what I'm doing. So I'm sure she'll watch this for a few minutes. Also want to give a shout out to um, my new subscriber up at Minerva Canna. Hi, Drew. I'm going to give another shout out, but this one's going to be in this story that I tell you today. A couple shout outs. So poverty. That's there's different degrees of poverty. I'm going to acknowledge that some people are poorer than others, and I'm not going to trivialize anyone's state of poorness, whether it be severe or otherwise. My personal history with poverty, when I spent several years hitchhiking, sleeping under bridges, couch surfing, friends' places, and that I did a few years of that when I was much younger. Um, when I moved to Stillwater, where I live now, uh, I was living in poverty. The first several years that I was here, I was subsisting almost entirely off of food banks, soup kitchens, and dumpster diving. And I found that my local convenience store, they have one of those hot roller grills where they put hot dogs and chicken sticks and whatnot on it. I found that they refresh their product every now and then. They take the old stuff off, throw it away, and put new stuff on. Well, I was finding the old stuff in the dumpster, and if I got there right after they'd done this, it was still hot sometimes. Anyway, the the whole point is I was finding food to eat in dumpsters. I'm not real proud of that. I'm not ashamed of it, but I'm not proud of it either. It was a dark time of my life, one of the darker times, but it was also a time. I got to tell you, I met a lot of people living that life, and when you're there in that way, and it's and you're and you're finding the bounties that are available, the food people throw away, the food that grocery stores and convenience stores and whatever the food that people throw away is perfectly edible. That's just the law requires them to take it off when it reaches expiration date or expiration time. In the case of hot foods, but there's nothing wrong with the food. I mean, it's no different than the food that they're selling in the store, except for by a couple of days, or a couple of hours or a few minutes, depending on which products you're talking about. Anyway, so I lived this life, and those people who live that way, I got to tell you, they're living like kings. Sometimes they may not be eating steak and shrimp and you know caviar, but they're they have found a way to live in bounty, and have found the bounties that are available to them in the world, and so they're they're not. I mean, it's it's not a luxurious way of life, but they have found bounty in places, in some places that they seek it out. They have to survive. That having been said, moving forward, I'm going to introduce some of the characters here. There's a manager who was managing the convenience store where I was frequently dumpster diving, and he was a great guy. Shout out to JC. Um, then there was the subsequent manager, the manager after him, who called the cops on me for digging in their dumpster. And then there's the current manager who uh, is learning about this now, which I'll get to. So, as I have mentioned previously, I'm a gamer. I play computer games. I have been in the gaming sector for decades. I was doing text-based gaming before graphic gaming came out. So um, I do a lot. I game a lot. I play a lot. I don't play a lot of games, but the primary game that I do play, I play it pretty. I'm pretty immersed in it when I play. But I play because I suffer from both sleep apnea and narcolepsy. I tend to sleep whenever I sleep, and when I wake up, I play. Uh, so I'm often playing odd hours of the day, throughout the day, every day. It's not like some days it happens. No, it's every day. I may game it between 3 and 6 today, three and 6, and then between 10 and 2 a.m. And then what I mean. It rotates, but it it's constantly that way. I never sleep more than about 3 or 4 hours. Once I get back up, I go back to playing. Because of that, I find myself quite often in the middle of the night going up to the convenience store. Oh, I wake up. Let's say I wake up. I went to sleep because it was time to sleep, and I woke up, wanted to play, and I wanted fresh coffee before I start. So I'd run up to the convenience store and get a fresh cup of coffee and a fresh banana, by the way, because the convenience store has fresh fruit on the counter that I don't have to worry about buying a bunch of bananas that are going to draw bugs in my house. I go up and get one banana from the convenience store. It's convenient, and it's healthy. It's one of the healthiest things I do is eat a banana in the morning. Anyway, so frequently over the last since COVID, especially since the COVID thing started, the last 6 months or so, I go up to the convenience store pretty regularly in the middle of the night uh, for my coffee. Coffee and a donut, may get a muffin or something too, but coffee and a banana. I tried their donuts, but they're super sweet, so I don't do the donuts with too much sugar. But a banana, cup of coffee, and I have met a lot of their night shift employees. They're all decent people. I mean, they're people employee, going to do their job every night or every day, whatever time of day it is when I go up there. Uh, but recently something happened. It's getting back to the poverty thing here. So I went up there one night to get. Actually, I went up there one day. I don't even remember. I just remember I went up there at some point. I went up there and I saw a guy digging through their dumpster. This is a dumpster I used to dig through. And then I know there was a good bounty of food coming out of there because they were very responsible about taking their product, refreshing their product on that hot roller grill every 2 hours or whatever it is on schedule. Every time, nothing gets there and gets dried out. They're always putting new product on, taking the old off when it's expired, and disposing of it in the dumpster. And so I saw this guy digging in their dumpster, and um, and it reminded me of my times digging in the dumpster there, uh, and so that stuck in my mind. Now, getting back to going to the midnight coffees, uh, on the night shift, occasionally there was a there's a female clerk who she she stands out. She definitely stands out as a very positive example of what you want your employees to be like. She is cheerful, courteous, and respectful to every customer. And I don't know if she got used to me coming in and frequently in the middle of the night was realizing I was a regular customer or what. But at some point, I noticed that when I walk in there and she says hi to me, it's not just, hi, how are you? Well, you know what I mean, a standard greeting. She is, there's a cheerfulness in the way she greets people that is kind of infectious. It's, hi, how are you? It's like and it may be the fact that she's getting to getting accustomed to me coming up there as a regular customer, or it may just be that's just the way she is. And I'm thinking the latter because um, after some after several weeks, months of going up there and getting coffee in the night, and then the other times a day buying things up there. I go to that convenience store a lot, and talking to other employees, I found out that she is what they call their super trainer for this um, area. When they have a new employee come in somewhere, she is the one they send to that store to train them. So this explains why my encounters with seeing this. I see their regular night crew all the time, the regular day crew. Her presence at this store was kind of sporadic, but she was there frequently at night. And when I go get my coffee, anyway, I found out that she's a super trainer. That they actually call her in to train other employees in the region. She's super nice, and I didn't get a I didn't understand this part about her until I go in there and I talk about conspiracy theories or whatever, just make a conversation, and then one night I mentioned to her that I had uh, I had seen this guy digging in her dumpster, I appealed to her because I was kind of establishing a rapport with her, I guess. I appealed to her, told her my story, and I appealed to her to, well, I'm going to tell you that I told her my story about how I used to dumpster dive there, but I went into a little more detail. I explained that first manager, JC, he he actually informed his other employees that he knew I was there doing that and that there was no problem with it. And because I wasn't making a mess, everything stayed in the dumpster. Um, then the next manager came. JC got promoted to regional supervisor or something. And then the next manager came in and she told her employees to call the cops on me. So suddenly my bounty of discarded food went away. Well, now I don't have need to dumpster dive. I've got Social Security benefits keeping me out of that. But I told her stories of how started digging there. Every now and then there'd be they the person who was doing the person who was doing the cleanup of the shift or whatever, they would take the good food off of the roller grill, put it in the garbage, and then they would take the nasty old coffee grounds from the freshing the coffee, pour it in on top of it, and then they'd go out and sweep the parking lot, put all their parking lot sweepings on top of it, so the food was really nasty. They were screwing it up. That's what it started like when I was looking for food up there. But then uh, it got to where they were being a little less disgusting in their shift duties, and eventually a couple of the employees, a couple of the clerks would actually separate the food into a separate bag so that it was protected from all the rest of it. One lady even got to where she would tie the big, liner bag, tie a knot in it, and hang it on the outside of the dumpster with the lid down on it to keep it hanging there, the lid closed on it. So I didn't even have to dig. I knew which bag. She'd put it out there, and I just ride by on my bike and grab the bag. Well, so I related all this information to this clerk at the when I saw this guy digging in their dumpster. I related all this information to this clerk uh, about how there's food. We're in, you guys are discarding food into that dumpster, and there are people in the world digging through your dumpster to get that food because they're hungry. And I asked her, just as a personal favor, because I liked, she was kind to me, courteous, and I appealed to her and I asked her to please, don't put the coffee grounds in on the, on your parking lot. Well, I hope you're getting this. My computer crashed. Last time this happened, my live streaming wasn't interrupted. I'm going to hope this is the same thing here. That was very annoying. I got the blue screen of death that I hadn't seen in decades. Well, years anyway. Waiting for YouTube to confirm that I'm still streaming. But if I am, I'll just continue my story about the clerk. And hopefully I can piece all this back together. I need better internet. No doubt about it. They need a better computer too. And it says that I'm still streaming. I'm just going to confirm, waiting for the picture thing, but it looks like I'm still streaming. Yep. Okay, so concluding my story, man, it always does that right at the end. So I related this story, my personal story to this clerk, and she was bothered by the fact that there was food going to waste when people are hungry. People in the United States, if like 10 million people were put out of work, we're still, there's still a lot of them are still out of work, and there's people out there now desperately digging through dumpsters to find food to stay alive. So she got that, she understood it, and I saw it in her eyes that she was going to change the way she works, and she's now. Well, I went back. She had to go train at another store, and I went back. And it was this a few days, a week or so ago. I went back, went up there to get a cup of coffee one night. She was back, and hi, how you doing? And I was really excited to see her because she brightens my when I wake up, I want to go get coffee and go play on the internet. She brightens my day. She makes my day start off on a good note. So I enter, I'm getting online in a good, really, really good mood. And I like that, anyway, so I went up there and, hi, how you doing? And it just so happened that they were in the process of bagging up some food for this guy who is squatting out behind their storage shed on the adjacent property, just barely. He's got a hammock set up in the tree, but you can't even tell he's there. You have to actually look around behind the building to see that he's even there. And this is some guy who's become homeless because of COVID. He's now got a place where he's got a hammock hanging in a tree to keep his stuff off of the ground, and it's and they're keeping their food separate for him. They write him notes, not sure if you want all these donuts, please clean up your mess, whatever. They're actually taking care of a guy. And it's because this girl, she took it upon herself to make sure that their food was not being wasted. They have to, by law, they have to take it off of the grills and dispose of it, but that doesn't mean they have to destroy it and prevent people from eating it. And so now this guy, until the economy picks up and people can go back to work and he can find a place to live and better food resources, he now has one person's been taken care of. Now, because this clerk is this convenience convenience store chain, because she is their super trainer, I'm quite confident that not only is this happening at this store, but it's now happening every time she goes to train somewhere. That store is going to be influenced to allow the hungry people to eat. If that's what they got to do to survive,